Welcome to today's episode of the Best of Raleigh. Today we're popping bottles and talking business because what starts as a love for wine can sometimes turn into owning the vineyard. Raleigh's own Jenny Farmer and her husband Mike didn't just sip and savor their way through Napa. They went all in, launching their own Cabernet label, ZFG, which, depending on who you ask, stands for Zero F's Given, or the more family-friendly version is Zen from Grapes. And now they're into bubbles, teaming up with Paula Kornell, a second-generation winemaker whose name is basically synonymous with world-class sparkling wine, and my dress happens to match the bottle. Now, they're bringing their California creations to Raleigh, sponsoring the 2025 Triangle Wine and Food Experience, and working to get their bottles on local shelves and wine lists. Paula and Jenny, welcome to the Best of Raleigh.
Welcome to the Best of Raleigh with your host and real estate expert, Gretchen Coley, owner of the Coley Group. This show is all about the people and places that make the Raleigh area so special. Here's your host, Gretchen Coley.
Jenny and Paula, welcome to the Best of Raleigh. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about my favorite subject. You know, I was just telling you, we're here in the office. We've got the smoothies behind us. We've got coffee and we have wine. And you can see all the smoothies are empty, but the wine bottles are full. So we're going to have some fun today.
You do have the proper glasses too.
Oh,
That's very good.
We've got all the things that you need. So I want to just kind of touch on first, each of you individually. Now, Jenny, you and Mike were here in Raleigh. You now have a place in Raleigh, and you also have a place in Napa. What is that like?
It's awesome and crazy and busy, but it's a dream come true for us. We fell in love with Napa. I think it's been about 10 years ago since we first went out there. And like we were talking earlier about your first visit to Napa, what's not to love? The climate, the scenery, the wine, the food, the people, and it's just been a dream come true. And we still look around and pinch ourselves and say, we get to live here.
I pinched myself when I went there and said, how did I not know? I'm 49 years old, that this place even existed, that I had never been there. So, Paula, you grew up in Napa, so you've seen it change.
Born and raised in Napa Valley, so one of those lucky few. There's very few of us left. So, and in a time when Napa Valley was much smaller, and there was only a handful of vintners, now there's many. But I am fourth generation sparkling producer. My great grandparents and grandparents all had champagne cellars or sect cellars, German champagne in Germany. And then my father came to the United States and started his winery in 58. So yes, it's a lot of changes in that time.
That is pretty incredible. And I'm so excited to dive into this because, you know, this show is all about people, places, and businesses in Raleigh that you need to know. But having this Raleigh connection just makes the wine and the bubbles, the sparkling wine, even more better. That's a real word. So, so Jenny, let's start with you. How did your love of wine evolve? Where did that come from?
It just kind of happened organically. We neither Mike or I grew up in households where our parents, they didn't drink wine. And so it's something we kind of stumbled upon early on, and we grew up in Michigan, so we grew up drinking cherry wine from Traverse City, and we thought we were big stuff. And
I drank Boone's Farm.
Yeah.
Is that really a wine?
You have to start somewhere.
I mean, yeah, humble beginnings.
They
right?
actually had some at the Angus Barn last night when we were down in the cellar. Yeah.
That's so
I
funny.
believe it. They've got everything there.
Yeah, they really
got it
do. They really do. We started going out to Napa probably 10 years ago, and our first visit, we were hooked. We just fell in love with it for all the reasons that we talked about. And we thought, well, we'll keep coming back at least once a year. And that became more frequent as we, were going for wine dinners and lunches and releases of our favorite winemakers. And then we started dreaming, like maybe we could retire here. Maybe this is something we could get into. And so it just is kind of dream come true.
And how did that turn into owning your own label?
Oh, wow.
Because you weren't a winemaker.
Yeah, not at all.
Did you know Paula at this time?
We did.
Okay.
We did. I think, what did we figure out, Paula? We've known each other for 5 or 6 years.
Mike and Jenny were the first customers I had at my home to try just my bubbles. I was in the consulting business where I had many other brands, but to come specifically for that. And then not only did we bond over bubbles, but also over English bulldogs.
Oh, yes.
So there
Yes.
was quite so that's
Connection.
when we connected.
So I think at that point, I don't think we weren't into our own thing. That happened through, there's another winery in Napa called Air, and we had gone there several times, and they have a program where you can get into it and you can buy your own barrel, you can create your own label,
Awesome.
and it's kind of a thing. And my husband is a doer, and he's like, let's do it. And I was like, are you sure? And so we kind of got into it as a fun thing to have great gifts for our friends. And then it's just kind of grown from there.
Maybe I need to have my own wine label. That sounds like a really good write-off.
Absolutely. Yes.
You can do that.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. So, Paula, you've been in the wine business your whole life. You said 4th generation. I mistakenly said 2nd, but 2nd in Napa Valley.
Correct.
So what is it like growing up in a family of winemakers?
Well, first of all, we're farmers.
Yeah.
You forget that this is an agricultural product. So you're following something through the whole life cycle of a vine and of a grape. So growing up there was great. We had many small family wineries, but that meant the Mondavis, the Heights, many wine names, family wine names that you know now are still in the business. So we all grew up together. And it was a great way to grow up doing a little bit of everything. So I know, for instance, from my bubbles, how every single piece of the business goes from picking the grapes to filling the bottles, to riddling bottles, to getting my braids stuck in the old labeling lines. So you did a little bit of everything.
I love that so much because my husband grew up on a farm. He grew up on a tobacco farm, though. And so, he was in that life cycle of what it's like to be a farmer family, and weather and climate, and, bad things happen. And then you have great years. And he used to have to go out and crop the tobacco and hang it and go through that whole life cycle. So we get to enjoy those stories. So what a fun process, though. Yours
Mother
is
Nature's in charge.
yeah,
Really.
But it is a little more exciting to be filling bottles up and all of that stuff. So, so when it comes to your Cabernet that you've started, Jenny, walk me through what does that look like? So you bought a barrel and you've started to produce. Do you grow your own grapes? Do you buy the grapes? And how do you get to what it's going to taste like in the end to bottle it?
So we really have been really lucky in that Grant from Air, they have handled all that for us. So it's actually Grant, he has grapes that he gets from Oakville, and his winemaker is the one that is making the wine for us. And then we get to work with his people on the label and the name and all of that. So it's really through that. And then one of the things that I think people don't realize about Napa is how welcoming and collaborative. You would think that maybe people would see other people coming in as competition and not want to help out, and it's actually the opposite. Grant, Paula, lovely. Everybody has been so generous, and how can they help us through? And so we now have 3 vintages that we've done, and with this last one, it was Grant that was like, I want you to separate from me, put your, and help that way. And he has been wonderful.
Wow. So what are some of the notes in yours that, what do you tell people when they say, what is your wine like?
Oh gosh, for me to love a cab is a pretty good thing, because I don't know about y'all, but when I first started drinking cabs, I was a baby red wine drinker, and I did not gravitate towards those big, bold Napa cabs. What I think is really awesome about ZFG is it is a little bit softer and a little bit more elegant. And so it's not one of those big punch you in the face Napa cabs. And it was fun because Grant has 3 different grapes that he gets from 3 different locations in Napa, which are very different, whether you're getting a mountain grape or a valley floor or another place. And so when we blind tasted for it, Mike and I thought for sure we're going to gravitate towards the Howell Mountain cab, and we actually fell in this one, which is an Oakville cab. So even since then, our tastes have changed.
Yeah. I would imagine that happens over time, though. The palate changes. You really start to enjoy bolder flavors. And Why don't we open that bottle up and have a taste while we're talking about this?
That sounds great.
Okay.
Love to.
So this show is sponsored by the Coley Group, the #1 compass team in the Triangle. And if you're looking to buy or sell in the Raleigh-Durham, you could just ask Jenny because she is one of our clients. We would love to help you find your slice of heaven in North Carolina. You know, people call us all the time and they ask us questions about neighborhoods and towns, and we absolutely love that and have a great tool called our Neighborhood Match Survey that you can get in the description below. Take 5 minutes, fill that out. It's going to help align you with the perfect neighborhood for you in Raleigh and all the surrounding areas. And if you like what you're hearing here, please click that like button and subscribe to get all these videos on the best that Raleigh has to offer, where we share the people, places, and businesses that you need to do business with. So this is your cab.
Yes.
And what does Oakville Grape mean, or an Oakville brand?
So Oakville is one of the AVAs within Napa, and they're known for their Cabernet. That's their showstopper. So our grapes come from a plot that is similar to what Harlan has, or Screaming Eagle, or some of the other really well-known, beautiful wines that you've heard of.
Well, let's have a taste of that.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm curious. So I've got our glasses conveniently over here.
Perfect.
And we're just going to take a little sip of each because it's about noon. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
That's
You
right.
bet. It's always 5 o'clock
It is.
somewhere.
It is.
Yeah. That's so.
Look
Look
how
at how
pretty that
beautiful
is.
that is. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cheers, ladies.
Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
All right. Wow. It's bold, but it's still really smooth.
Soft. It finishes. It's creamy. It's got that soft,
Wow.
velvety.
It's delicious.
Yeah, I'm not usually a Cabernet person. I like a lot of bubbles, and I'm usually a really light, like Pinot Grigio or Chardonnays.
Absolutely.
This is delicious, though.
It is delicious.
So
I have to have one more. Wow.
it's fun, right? Like
Yeah.
you can see how this would go really well with a steak or something that's got a little bit more richness or
Very,
really-
very rich. It's awesome. Okay, well, let's shift over and let's talk about some bubbles, Paula. So you tell me a little bit about what sets Paula Kornell Sparkling Wine apart from other bubbles in the market.
Probably the biggest one is tradition. The fact that the name has been family owned for many years. So for fourth generation, now it's basically because of women power, as well as having two very different wines available. So a California varietals and then Napa Valley fruit. As well as it's still in small production. So we have quite a few large producers around. My father was the first method champenois producer in Napa Valley. So
Wow.
again, a lot of it's history.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference, because I know when I'm in Napa, I love to kind of hear about how the winemaking and the wines and the families have really transformed the area and transformed their brands. And it's beautiful to see these women-owned vineyards and
Women-owned, and
wines.
so many Napa Valley wineries now have female winemakers. They hate being called female winemakers. They are
Winemakers.
winemakers. So, but more and more, both in Napa and Sonoma counties.
Well, I would love to try some of your bubbles, and I want to talk about like sparkling wine. Like what do you pair that with?
Well, everything. Sparkling wine, and which I call bubbles, go with everything. I say bubbles because I don't like the word sparkling wine. To me, it just seems that it's not deserving.
Paula, I'm with you. I like the word bubbles.
It's bubbles. So, and bubbles go with everything. So they love things that a perfect match is something that's salty. So it could be chips, it could be popcorn, fried chicken, French fries. But really, the creaminess of the bubbles can go with some creamy desserts or sauces on your fish. So it's something that's very, very versatile.
Well, I've never tried a sparkling or bubbles with popcorn, but I think I might try that tonight.
Always.
Okay, so let's try some of, And I'm just gonna put this to the side. I'm gonna come back to that wine because it's fabulous. So this is a new bubble
Yeah.
bottle.
Yeah, so this is my new Brut Rosé,
Ooh,
and
I love a rosé.
So do I.
I think we all do.
Yeah, they're just
The
fresh.
color looks very festive.
Yeah. Rosé every day, I like to
Rosé
say.
every day.
And I know my team's going to like this one, so we're going to finish this bottle off while y'all are here.
Absolutely.
So this is
We're going to finish this one off tonight.
Yes, I love it.
So this is primarily Pinot Noir with a little bit of Chardonnay. Mm-hmm. And the Pinot Noir is what gives it the color. That beautiful
Rose.
pink color.
All right. This is girl power at its finest right here.
Right here.
Cheers.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers. Wow. That is delicious. Light and fresh. Perfect summertime.
That's what we yeah.
And always remember that you don't have to be drinking bubbles out of a flute like this. You can drink bubbles out of any wine glass that you care for. So more and more people want to drink it just straight out of a regular wine glass.
Really?
But these are always very festive.
I just feel so fancy when it's in a champagne glass.
absolutely.
And I do agree. You know, certain places I end up putting one in a wine glass, but I just feel like it's so much more elevated when it's in a flute like this and carrying the name Bubbles as well. So you're working on bringing your wines to the Triangle. I know I was at the wine cellar at the Angus Barn a couple nights ago and saw your wine there. That's a huge, huge step in this market. Where else can we find you right now?
Absolutely. Yeah, we love, it's such an honor to be at Angus Barn. We also are at Hummingbird.
I love hummingbirds.
So do we. We love Hummingbird. We love it. Our dear friend Colleen happens to be the owner and chef there. Also Smokestacks Cafe, which is right there in Oakwood, so just down the street from where we live. Also Taylor's Wine Shop. I don't know if you've ever been. It's a really cool little wine shop. They carry us as well. And we've been talking to the folks at Crawford and distributors, so we are working.
So I love that. I love the vision. So what is the vision for how you want, like, how much are you producing right now and what are you thinking you want to go to?
ZFG's production is very small, and I think that we'll keep it that
Which
way.
is fabulous.
Yes, it's we've got so much going on right now that seems very manageable to us as of right now. As far as Paula Kornell, we produce about 5,500 cases a year with that. So our goal is to get it in the hands of the people who love it. So we are distributing it nationally. Definitely, we've got Raleigh has always been a big supporter of Paula Kornell, but we
love
also
that.
North Carolina was the second market that I introduced my bubbles to.
Wow.
So it has been always a good market for us.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
There's such a huge wine and food scene here that most people don't know about before they get to Raleigh. And the wine here is really spectacular, and I love this connection, you know, that we have from Raleigh to Napa. So the wine scene obviously is growing a lot. How do you see that evolving for you, Paula, for Paula Kornell Bubbles?
Well, I think things like the Triangle Wine Festival helps a lot to be able to get that out to many more consumers. Where when there's those opportunities, we go for it. And it's any more placements that we possibly can get to get the wine in front of people.
Yeah.
Just like this, it helps people understand when they can't come to Napa Valley that they get a chance to see what
Well,
we
I
have.
think these viewers are going to really enjoy this because they really are. We love wine, we love coffee, we love smoothies. Those are our nutritional staples here at the Coley Group. It just depends on what type of day you're having, right? And I'll tell you, a great bubble is just the perfect addition to any day. So why is it important for you to be a part of the Triangle Food and Wine Fest?
I love the idea behind the Triangle Food and Wine. I love the idea of bringing the community of restaurants together with the community of winemakers from Napa, and making it really accessible. The first time that we went to one of our first dinners years ago was how we met one of our favorite winemakers in Napa. Otherwise, I don't know if we would have stumbled upon it because it's one of those small family-owned kind of boutique. So we love that. I also love the idea of helping out the school, Frankie Lemmon. I don't know if you've had a chance to ever go tour the school, but it is an amazing place for getting to meet the families of Frankie Lemmon and them telling us about the impact that this makes on their lives and their children is amazing. Frankie Lemmon, it's, special for special needs kiddos, but there's also everybody's integrated into there. And so when you take a tour of that place and you see and meet those kids and those teachers, it's a no-brainer.
I love that. So that's Frankie Lemmon. Gosh, what an incredible association. So it's really a cool way to see how the web of businesses really helps in community as well. So owning a wine label sounds like a dream job. At least it does to me. What's something that people don't realize about your business? And I want to get answers from you first, Paula.
Well, I think first of all, Mother Nature. I mean, Mother Nature is in control, and oftentimes we forget that. The consumer just sees this finished bottle of wine, or they're popping that cork, but there's a lot more that goes through that. And then all the federal licensing. I mean, there's so much licensing that takes place in order for us to get the wine here in front of you. I think we all forget that part too.
Yeah, I think
it's
so.
the beginning and the end.
I've never even thought about that. How about for you, Jenny?
Amen. That is so true. As we're waiting on some licenses and things, yes, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that when Mike and I joined forces officially with Paula this summer, it was like a crash course in the behind the scenes of a wine brand and a lot of the logistics of just getting our arms around all of the inventory and just, getting it housed and stored, and then also getting it finished because there's many steps in the sparkling process. So what we see here, this is the fun stuff. The most fun thing about it are things like when we get to do dosage trials and we get to figure out how sweet or not sweet we want to make the bubbles. Or also we got to do the color, how pink or how orange. That's definitely been a highlight. And behind the scenes, I'm taking pictures and sending them to my girlfriends back here going, this is my job.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I want that job as well.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, I went and made like perfume once and it's kind of the same thing.
Absolutely.
And I've toured a couple of vineyards and kind of went through that, but you don't get to see that part of it. You don't get to see, the tasting of the bubbles or the wines before they're really ready. And you don't get to see the color of the rosé, which I think is a beautiful thing. So where can people find you if they want to buy from you, Paula?
You can find us right online at our online store, which is www.paulakornell.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then you're just in distribution right now here in Raleigh at the places that we've seen currently, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You can find us. I've sent people some local grocery stores as well. Total Wine, Harris Teeter, different places like that. And I know places like Taylor's, if they don't have us in stock, they'll order it, or you can go to our website.
I love it. Well, we'll make sure everything is linked below for you to connect with this incredible Raleigh winemaker, which I know sounds so crazy. So it's kind of like the Raleigh Napa connection for a fabulous Cabernet that's bold and elegant and sophisticated at the same time. Fabulous bubbles that go with everything from fried chicken to popcorn, and just a great addition. I'll tell you, they're both fantastic. So thank you so much, Paula. Thank you, Jenny, for sharing these spectacular wines. I'm really looking forward to this evening and tasting some of the pairings that we have going on. I can't wait. And I really appreciate you all joining in. And obviously, we think that Raleigh is a really special place. And who would have ever thought there's a winemaker here? What a great way to celebrate Raleigh. This show is all about introducing you to the people, places, and businesses that you need to do business with, and these two are two of them. So we look forward to seeing you. We drop a new episode every Friday with the greatest places in town on Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube, and we'll see you in the next Best of Raleigh.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.